Hey guys, I don't know if you can see me, and I don't know, I'm waiting for a couple of my friends to join. Just a reminder, my name is Moses Rodriguez, and I have matched the University of Chicago, and I will be attending in the fall. I'm waiting on my friends Yvonne and Luis to join. They are respective going to Brown and Rice. Yvonne matched, I think Luis matched as well. We're waiting on them. Still trying to figure this out. I'm trying to see if I can see your questions, but I can't. There should be a question bar on the right side of your screen. Let me see. Let me know if you guys can see it. Hmm. Just trying to see where the questions are. Can't seem to find them. Okay. Well, while I wait for them, I'll just go ahead and delve right into just a couple of the basic info we were here to talk to you guys about. So we're here to talk to you about the National College Match. I've been monitoring the groups, and my friends have as well. And there's a group chat that if you guys want me to add you to, I'll gladly do it. Just message me on Facebook. Specifically talking about U Chicago, but it's grown into be a much bigger monster than it was intended to be. Um, so basically, how the National College Match works, this is just a general overview because there's a lot of people who are still confused about it. How it works is all of you are going to be submitting applications to be finalists, and I believe that application is open to you guys right now. I actually just checked the website and it said begin application, so that might be open. You guys need to make sure you're monitoring that. And you guys are going to be submitting an application by September 27th, and once that application is done, Questbridge will select about 4,000, 5,000 of you. The numbers really vary. It changed a lot last year because there was a lot more finalists than expected. Um, After that, you're going to be submitting college match rankings, and depending on the ones you rank, the one that you match that is highest on your list is the school you're bound to. There's four of them that are non-binding. That's Princeton, Yale, Stanford, and MIT. Um, you can contact a couple questies to see how it works for them. I think they were still able to apply, sorry, early action into a couple of other schools, but definitely, there's all of these schools are wonderful. Um, Hold up, I just got a notification. Can you guys submit questions or do comments? I can't see if you guys can. Let me play around with it 1 second. Hmm. Can't see where the questions are. Sorry, guys. I've never used this before. And Yvonne and them are not here either. Can't figure out the questions. How about this? If you guys have a question, go ahead. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. I saw Michael Andy's questions. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Um, but I'm just gonna go a little into a couple of the schools. Okay, cool. Thanks, Michael. I'm going to go into a couple of the schools. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the University of Chicago, or I'm going to talk about the ones that I applied to. Um, oh, I think Luis is here. Hi, Luis.
Yeah. Here. Hello.
Introduce.
Are we live right
Yeah,
now?
we are.
Cool.
Go ahead and
Nice.
introduce yourself. I'm trying to figure out where the questions are.
Oh, okay. Here, let me. It's probably like on the YouTube comments or something, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
Our comments. Oh my gosh, that's my face. Whoa. Are probably like on the YouTube comments or something. Are comments activated or something? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It says questions are available, but I can't see any. Well,
Because
go ahead
I
and
can't see a
introduce
place
yourself.
to like make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about yourself and the school you're going to and everything while I play around with it.
Oh, sure. Okay, so I'm Luis. I I'm from like the Seattle area in Washington State. I applied for the Questbridge College Prep Scholarship when I was a junior, and I got that. So I went to the Stanford conference that June, and then after that, I applied for the National College Match, and I got matched to Rice University. So yeah, I'm going to Rice in the fall.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what are some of the benefits that you think you got from College Prep Scholar?
Um, I mean, to start the community, I feel like there's a lot of people here who you could just like ask questions to, for example, like this kind of thing, and just a support system to have people, help you out through the process. People have been through there before, like want to help you, and they have the experience to really like answer questions you have, and just I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole
So
scholarship thing is nice too, but yeah.
yeah, so just to kind of divulge a little bit more into that, QuestBridge actually did change a couple things up. And apparently there's not a conference at Emory this year. There's one at Northwestern, and that one already happened. Some advice for you guys that are going to the conferences or who did go. I don't know if all of them have happened, and Luis can attest to this. Definitely don't be shy about it, and definitely reach out to all the questies that are there because eventually you will see them lurking on the Facebook groups, and you'll be able to like not only form really nice friendships, but you'll be able to help each other with essay edits because
Oh
that's
yeah, for
in the
sure.
past.
If
Um,
if you haven't had your conference yet, make sure to talk to as many people as you can. One of like my best friends right now is someone I met at the conference there. So I mean, it's pretty cool to just meet people from different places all over the world and who kind of understand you in a way because we relate to each other. I guess financially. So yeah, I just like to talk to people, get to know them.
And another good point is there's a lot of colleges that are going to be at at the actual conference, and you're going to be a little overwhelmed because you're like, "What is this school? What is this school?" Don't be afraid to go up to one that you've never heard of, because there's some wonderful schools that are part of the QuestBridge network that I didn't look into because I just didn't know the name of the school or it wasn't well known.
True.
So, like for example, for me, I got a chance in the fall to visit Amherst College and Swarthmore College as part of fly-in programs. I don't know if Luis, did you do any fly-ins?
I didn't. I should have. I totally should have though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
I
there's
regret it.
just some info for you guys. There's this many of these schools host fly-in programs, which is exactly that. You apply for it and they choose to literally pay for your airfare to go visit their campus because there's something interesting about you that they like. So I got to visit Swarthmore and Amherst, and I never planned on looking into those schools, but after actually visiting them, it was an absolute joy to see, oh look, there's other options besides the one dream school that I was so obsessed with. Um, so how about we do this? Talk a little bit, Luis, about Rice and like what made you be interested in Rice.
Yeah. Okay. So the main thing for me that kind of got me interested into Rice is the fact that I'm pre med, so I wanted to go to a good college where I could volunteer at a hospital and get experience that way. Also, like for doing research and that kind of thing. So since Rice is it has like a lot of research stuff going on with they have a bioscience collaborative where you can do research through it, and then the Texas Medical Center is the world's largest medical center, and it's literally right next to Rice. Just like a lot of those kinds of things, just the opportunities that I'll be getting there for the path I want to take. That kind of really intrigued me with Rice, and also just the fact that I hear that a lot of the people there, it's like the atmosphere is so non-competitive. We just all want to work together to achieve success together, and that's something that I like really want to be a part of.
Yeah. So, what would you say during the National College Match was the hardest thing, like applying for, and like what advice would you have for those like who are about to start the application?
I think the hardest thing was like narrowing down which colleges to apply to,
Yeah.
because last year I'm not sure if they're going to change it, but last year they let us rank 12 colleges, and I went into it a little too ambitious, and I went for all those 12, but I ended up not being able to finish all the applications in time, so I ended up just having to just strike 5 of them down and doing 7 instead. So I don't know. I would really recommend doing some hardcore research this summer so you know which colleges you really want to go to. And then, because I know there were 12 that I would have loved to go to, but even then, it would have been in my best interest to try to narrow it down even more, I think. So yeah, just like really, really think about which colleges would be best for you and which college you would be best for.
Yeah, that's a really good point that Luis just brought up. Even though it sounds like there's 12 potential full rides there, you guys need to realize that once you do become finalists, you're going to have about 3 weeks to finish essay supplements, like to send in tax forms, send in a whole bunch of documentation that each individual school is going to ask you for. And you're going to be you're going to have to be able to put like 2000% into each and every single essay. So you need to
Exactly.
be prepared to, like, if you're going to do 12, you need to start on those essay ASAP because it's going to get really overwhelming. I was kind of in a similar boat. I was going to do 12 because I didn't want to like risk not getting it.
Uh-huh.
But there's some people who did do 12 and they still didn't get it. So you need to be prepared to crank down on those essays. I ended up just doing U Chicago, Columbia, Yale, and Princeton. And I originally had Northwestern on my list as well, but I just didn't know about Northwestern enough to be able to write like passionately about it. So once you do decide to rank schools, you need to make sure you're dead set on going there because you could easily match a school and be like, "Hey, I'm okay with going there," but you could have easily gone somewhere else and gotten in regular decision or through the match. So you need to make sure you're very committed to the school.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Mhm.
Reese, or what did I say, Reese? Luis, what do you think? There's a couple people who are like very hesitant about either doing the match or just giving up the match and going RD and applying EA to like Harvard and such. So, what made you decide to actually go through with the match and not
Um,
applying EA?
I mean, I totally understand the fact that people are reluctant to do the match, but I feel like the reason there is the match in the first place is for you to like only apply through the match for the colleges that you really for sure want to go to. So I would say don't try to do all 12 if there aren't 12 that you for sure want to go to, you know? Just try to do the match for the ones that you know you'll enjoy the next 4 years of your life at, and you'll really learn a lot in those 4 years. So if that's just one college or two college, just do the match through there. If you haven't done um, like all the research yet and you still aren't sure about any of them, just do the match, and that's perfectly fine. You still have the chance to. Oh, hey, Yvonne's here.
Hey, Yvonne. Hi,
Hey
Yvonne.
guys.
Hi.
Hey, I didn't know if it was gonna like automatically call me. I'm with some of the Questwitch people. I didn't know if it was automatically gonna call me or if I had to join it. So that's why I'm like so late to this.
Yeah, you're
Sorry.
totally
Oh no,
fine.
you're
We're
fine.
still trying to figure out, and we
Okay.
can't seem. I don't know if people aren't asking questions or if I can't access the questions, but we're
Mhm.
just kind of talking and, you know,
Okay.
discussing like our own process. So Lisa was talking about how he
Okay.
decided to go through with the match instead of applying EA to like Harvard and
Uh.
like non-partner schools. So like, what are your thoughts on
Mhm.
that? What made you decide to go through with the match?
Honestly, it's kind of funny because there was another junior who asked me like this same question, sort of, when we were talking earlier. For me, I did match just because I felt like it would be a good chance at getting that full scholarship. Because of course, I know there's the fact that you might not get match and you can still get great financial aid. But for me, since I literally had no other means of paying for school, I was like, let me go ahead and take this chance where I can get a full scholarship and hopefully get all that settled. Plus, I don't know, I felt like it would just be good since like with Questbridge, with learning everything the past like year or two, I felt like it would have been a good step to just go ahead and go with early decision match.
Yeah, I agree. So I asked Luis this question
Mhm.
earlier. What would you say was the
Mhm.
hardest part for you when actually like going through the actual application?
Um, hmm. For me, I think hardest part, well, for one, it was of course getting all my test scores together because that was just one whole other hectic story. Um, Honestly, I think it was kind of choosing like what order to rank colleges and knowing exactly what to say because from all the stuff I heard like in everything else, College Confidential, YouTube videos, other adults, I was always worried that like they wouldn't accept me because it's like, oh, what if my essay is really bad? What if I don't have a unique enough story? So for me, I think it was really knowing exactly what to say in my application, I guess.
Yeah, so how many schools did you rank, Yvonne?
hmm
How many?
I just did five.
You did five, and which five did you do?
I did Brown, Yale, I think the order, I think it was Princeton, Tufts, and then Columbia.
Oh, okay. So like
Mm.
kind of like Luis was talking
Hmm.
about, like you had did extensive research to make sure you were like fully committed to any of these schools just in case you matched,
Hmm.
or did you just kind of match
Yeah.
out of fear, like, oh, I'm not gonna get it?
Um, it was a little bit of both. Cause like honestly, the funny story is that prior to match, like literally this time a year ago, I did not even give Brown a second glance. So
Oh,
it really was a lot of research. So yeah, I always like laugh at myself about that. So for me, I had to look at each college. It was a little bit of like, oh my gosh, what if I don't get matched? Like that whole month, I was just, oh hi, hey Chris, like that
Oh my
whole month.
gosh, Chris.
Hey, that whole month I was terrified because I was like, oh my gosh, what if I don't match any of these schools? But at the same time, I can do it. I can do it.
yeah. Hi
Hmm.
guys. So we have another Questie here. We have Chris, and he's going to be going to the
What's
worst school on the planet. I mean, I'm kidding. Northwestern University, which is
up?
just up the road in Chicago, in Evanston, Illinois.
Yes.
Hi.
Which is
Let me get headphones just so it doesn't echo. It's
Okay.
up.
just so you guys know, for you guys, yeah, you guys probably might not know this, but U Chicago and Northwestern have a friendly rivalry.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that then.
They don't
Yeah.
they don't trash our campus or anything. They do.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a
Ooh.
great school. It's a great school.
That's
So I
good.
was hoping to get Aileen here to talk a little bit about the liberal arts college, but
Hmm.
unfortunately she couldn't make it. So
Okay.
Yvonne, I asked Luis this, but what attracted you to Brown and what made it stand out once
Okay,
you
by the
did this?
Hmm.
before she answers that, I found out how to I found their questions. So
Oh,
Oh,
where?
yeah,
sweet.
Where'd you go?
it's like in the comments section on YouTube.
Okay.
So
Oh,
there's
YouTube.
some
Okay.
coming in. We could answer this question right now, but after that, I could read some of them.
Okay, let me find
Yeah,
the YouTube thing.
Okay.
So you went to the YouTube page?
yeah, it's on the YouTube page. Just scroll down to where the comments usually are on a
Oh,
YouTube
okay.
video.
I see them.
Yeah.
Go
Uh-huh.
ahead and
Okay.
talk, Yvonne, and then we'll do these questions.
Okay, real quick, like I'm in the Hangouts app, so am I able to just go to the YouTube and go to it? Because I don't know how any of this video
I'll
chat
I'll
stuff
I'll read the
works.
question to you, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. But as for what drew me to Brown, kind of again like everybody else would say is like the open curriculum because the fact that they were saying that you can study different subjects even if you're not majoring in that subject, you can take stuff. They don't have like I don't think they really have general requirements. I like that idea because I'm still really confused what I want to study exactly, but I have a general idea. So that was the biggest thing. Just I felt like looking at all the websites, talking with different people. I felt like it would be a really good campus where I could, I guess, like fit in sort of. And even though I didn't visit yet, just browsing everything, I was like, I don't know. It was kind of the vibes. Like for me, I'm a really vibey person. So for every school that I looked at, it was more of like, what kinds of vibes do I get? And from Brown, I had like really good vibes from them.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good point. Okay, so let's go
Yeah.
ahead and tackle these questions. I'll go ahead and answer the first one, the most recent one.
Okay.
And then we can all answer this because since we're all going to different schools, we can talk about our financial aid packages. But the question is, does being matched really equal to a full ride with absolutely no strings attached? This is a little tricky.
Yeah.
Essentially, yes, but at the same time, no. Because what QuestBridge does, it's not QuestBridge giving you the money, it's the actual university giving you the money. So how it works is the university will give you your financial aid package and say, we're covering your actual tuition, your room and board, your fees. This is for U Chicago at least. Your fees, your
Hmm.
books, and some money for personal expenses. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that that money is going to come to you in one big check. Most of it is actually for U Chicago our personal expenses. It's being spread out through 3 quarters. So I might get $300 halfway through first quarter, and that means at the beginning of the school year, I'm actually going to have to pay the money up front. So it seems a little scary, but at the same time, they also have many of these schools have programs for low-income kids or plus-bridge kids to be able to get accustomed to like work expectation and summer expectation to be able to pay for it. So yes, it's covered, but at the same time, it doesn't mean, oh, I want to hang Christmas lights in my dorm. They're gonna pay for it. No, those are things you're gonna have to pay for.
Yeah.
For room decor, my mentor actually, his name is Jorge. He's going to the university. He's at the University of Chicago. He gave me a lot of advice on this, and he was like, make sure during the summer you work as much as possible. So when you get here, you're gonna have to buy a bunch of stuff for your dorm. You're gonna have to buy clothes. All of those things are gonna come out of my pocket. So yes, your education is covered, but at the same time, it's not because there's a lot of like little hidden expenses that you're gonna have to pay. Many of the
Yeah.
universities will adjust your financial aid package if their tuition increases or decreases. This year there was an increase in tuition for U Chicago. They adjusted my financial aid package and they're paying for everything, but at the same time, like I said, those hidden costs I'm gonna have to pay for. Um,
Mhm.
I wish we could see. I'm sorry, I totally like interrupted you,
you're
but
good. No,
I'm
I was done. I was done.
I'm
Go
a
ahead.
bad person to be on the air. Anyway, I wish we could see who's on this. Like,
Yeah,
where do you see the comment?
Yeah.
I can't see the comments. I'm just on the actual YouTube thing and they're putting their comments
Because
there.
someone just sent me a message and was like, "Oh, you're in the
Uh,
chat," and I'm like, "Yes,
It
how
says there are
come?"
38 people, if that means anything.
oh.
Oh,
Hey, we're
Oh
reaching
wow.
some. Okay,
Okay.
so do any
I was gonna add. Oh, sorry, did I speak?
yeah, I was gonna say, do you have anything to add? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that for the match, I think it depends. Yeah, it depends college by college exactly what they expect you to pay. Some of them expect you to do summer work contribution or like a small parental contribution or that kind of thing. Um, so you should look on the QuestBridge website to see the specifics for each college when you're thinking about the match. I know for Rice, they have like a grant that covers everything, so they don't expect you to do summer work or any of that stuff. They don't expect you to do like work study, that kind of thing. But I know other colleges do expect that, so that's something to look into. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to add on financial aid packages?
Um, as for the match, like for me, I kind of agree with what both of y'all were saying. Cause for my package, like they did cover everything, but of course, like there's still student contribution. Like pretty much most people usually get that. So that's kind of also what I found that I didn't realize was I might have to be paying for my health insurance by myself, and they have like the university health insurance that you can get, but my issue is that like if you don't have health insurance, you're gonna have to pay for theirs, and I'm not sure if they're gonna cover it. So that's kind of one of those like
Hidden cost.
technicality things.
Yeah.
Like if you're covered, you're good. If not, that's something you might have to pay out of pocket. Then travel, I think they give me a grant, but apparently I have to get there to campus myself. So I don't know if they're gonna give me like a check in a year or if I have to do all this by myself. So I mean, for the most part, like tuition, room, and books. Hopefully, I'm assuming so because with match, that's what they say. But there are some smaller expenses, like everybody else was saying too, that like you still have to pay for yourself. You got to come up with something for yourself.
Yeah, good point.
Mhm.
Um, one
oh,
thing to add, I'm gonna put a little U Chicago plug in here. We have this
Okay.
program called CAP, and it's the College Achievement
Mhm.
Academic Process. And for U Chicago, basically, it's you do 7 weeks during the summer before your freshman year. Or no, we don't call them
Okay.
freshman year. We call them first years. We're first years. We're Hogwarts. And basically, we pay for your health insurance, we pay for your books for the first year, and we cover your summer
Oh
contribution.
wow.
So definitely look into those programs that will potentially cover this for you. I know Yale has one, Chicago has one. I don't know of the other schools, but there's always those
Mhm.
opportunities to pay for those things.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go to
Okay.
the.
oh, and
Oh,
I just want to
go
say
ahead.
I'm the only regular decision person out of all these people.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't even do the match process, so if you want to
No,
ask about
yeah,
that, I'm
go
good.
ahead. Go ahead and talk about that, Chris. Like, what made you
Mhm.
do regular decision and not the match?
Okay, this is like something you'll probably understand more like once you're actually in the process, but um, like we were talking earlier about how once you
Chris
become a
is lagging
finalist.
for me. Is he lagging for
Oh, I'm
anyone
sorry.
else?
Oh no, I can see him fine
Oh, you
here.
can't. Oh, that's weird. Oh, sorry.
Um, once you become a finalist, there's only like a week until the deadline to submit all the materials. And I was planning on ranking 4 colleges, but even that I was like not gonna be able to finish because I didn't want to send like half done things. And so I was just like, I'll just, you know, be a regular decision finalist, and did that instead. And it ended up working really well because I was still accepted to a couple of Questbridge schools, um, and got a financial aid package that's like exactly the same as a match package, except without the strings attached. Like it wasn't binding, so it worked out well for me.
Yeah, good point. So definitely, that's an important thing to keep in mind. Usually, if you are low income, and you are a Questbridge, almost always your financial aid package will be very close to what a matched kids would be. But at the same time, there might be a little bit more money you might have to pay. Okay, let's go back to the questions.
Mhm.
Can you match to more than one school, like if some of them are non-binding? Okay, so that's a little complicated. No, you cannot match more than one school. The one that you rank the highest is the one that you are bound to, unless it's Yale, MIT, Stanford, or Princeton. How those work, I do not know. Next week's, we're
Yeah.
doing another live Q&A, and they're going to be able to talk more about it because there's a couple that got matched to Yale. But I'm guessing if you match to one of those schools, you're still able to go through regular decision and by May 1st give them a response.
I
Um,
could talk about that a little bit, actually, Moises.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
The other guy who got matched from my school, he got matched to Princeton originally, but basically the only college that he really wanted to go to besides Princeton was Stanford. So after he got matched to Princeton, he applied to Stanford through QuestVid's regular decision, and then he got into Stanford. So even though he had like the full ride for Princeton already, he declined that and he decided to accept Stanford instead.
Yeah.
So
Are you
yeah,
talking
basically you.
about Martin by chance?
No, they don't go to the same school.
Uh,
Oh, okay, because like I know Martin got matched, and then he also ended up
oh,
going to
Martin, no,
Martin got
Stanford.
in.
Martin's like from California, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
was thinking
guys,
Yeah,
about Daniel
because
though.
he
you
visited
guys,
Brown and other schools.
yeah, he got in
He,
everywhere.
Oh yeah,
You guys
Martin's
will
crazy.
see
yeah.
eventually. There's a couple people who are gonna surprise you. They're gonna get in everywhere. I can name Favor. She got in
Yeah.
everywhere. She's our
Uh-huh.
queen. Elena got in everywhere.
Yes.
Martin
Toyin,
got
I
in
think.
everywhere. Who?
I think Toyin.
Point.
I forgot
Toyin,
her last
yes,
name,
she
but
got in everywhere. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, okay, but that's a little info on that. But yes, essentially you cannot match more than one school. The one that you put at the very top is the one you're going to if it's not Yale, Yale, Stanford, Princeton, or MIT. Next question. There are different. Okay, here's a good one. Um,
mm,
do you guys have any advice on what test scores we should be aiming for to increase our chances to be selected for the national college match? I can talk a little bit about test scores. My test scores are not the best. I can tell you because I really don't care because they don't matter to me anymore. But I got a 27 when I applied for the national college match, and I was accepted as a finalist with the ACT, a 27 on the ACT. And then when I actually did submit my final stuff to Chicago, I applied with a 29. That is very well below their middle 50%, which is a 32 to a 35. So I was very surprised that I even got matched because my test scores were not to the caliber of the school at all. So even though test scores are probably freaking a lot of you guys out, I've been seeing your SAT posts. All of you are freaking out about it.
mm,
Don't stress out. As long as you're somewhat around the range, like obviously we want more than a 26 or a 25. I don't know about you guys what your test scores were, um, but definitely try to be as close to the threshold or to the middle 50%. What I tell all my mentees is your application needs to be well balanced. So if your test scores aren't the best, make sure you have a lot in the extracurricular field. If you have good test scores, make sure your extracurricular is well balanced. So try to make sure your application is well rounded, and that's what college admissions look
mm.
for. Do you guys have any comments on test scores?
Um, I mean, just make sure to study, I
Oh,
guess.
oh,
You
you
should
go.
still try. Sorry. You should still,
Yeah.
try to
Do try.
improve your scores, I guess, in these next few months. But as Moises said, don't stress out about it if you don't get a 2400 or 1600 as it is now, or yeah, that kind of thing. Just as long as you're trying to improve, you'll be fine.
Mhm.
Just aim for a good score and be well-rounded. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Mm,
As far as
cool.
like what to take. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you gonna say something, Chris?
I'll just say that I also was not in the middle 50 for any of the schools I applied to and still got into a couple. So
Mm.
it's not a make or break thing. Okay, you
Yeah,
can
same
go.
here.
Okay. But yeah, also kind of going off of that, there are some people I know who have had like I don't know, but I've heard like what other people talk about people who had like very low scores who still got in. And even for me, I did better on the ACT than I did SAT, but my SAT was like not even a 2000. So as far as SAT wise, I wouldn't have gotten in if they solely did SAT scores. But depending on the school, some of them might require ACT, some of them might just require SAT with the subject test. So also, I would say if you can, maybe take both and whichever one you're better at. Because for me, ACT was my stronger one, and I think that kind of got me more in the middle range of students, whereas my SAT, I was below like what a lot of people got. So
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I have something else to add.
Go ahead.
There's
mm,
some. I'm not sure about the ACT because I never took it. But if you go ask your counselor, they have SAT test waivers, so you don't have to like pay the fee. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, you should definitely
Yeah.
look into that if you're like on free or reduced lunch or that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I can
Um,
touch on that really quickly. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I just was had a question if we can like link stuff.
Yeah, you can. In your menu on your
Oh,
left,
I
there's a little tags
see.
thing, and you can
End your
add.
chat message.
Yeah,
Let's see. Do you guys see that?
yeah, I saw the link.
Okay, so it's just a link to the testing requirements of all 30, who knows how many now,
Yeah,
because they keep adding schools, all the testing requirements. So that page should be like your best friend for a while.
yeah,
Mhm.
I just shared it with the audience. Cool. Okay, going back to the questions. Let me see. I'm confused about applying to school through QuestBridge and using the Common App / applying to schools directly. Should I do both? Can I do both? Thank you. Yes. Okay, so this is something that I addressed with my mentees directly, but I'll go ahead and share it with you guys. So even though you are applying through QuestBridge, that does not mean that the Common App goes away. That monster will still be there and it will follow you. So basically, a lot of
Yeah.
the schools are going to require a Common App, and that's where you're going to submit almost all of your supplements, all of your basic information, and they're going to ask you to send that directly to them. If you are going EA / the match, your deadline will be November 1st. So basically, how the QuestBridge app comes into play is these schools will receive your Common App and they're going to receive your QuestBridge application in addition to it. So that's kind of like a little more information, and that's a lot of these schools really do love the QuestBridge application because it goes into depth a little more than the Common App. So it's the benefit of, oh, they get to
Mhm.
see two applications from you. And one big perk about QuestBridge, if you're a finalist, is they review our applications before they review the EA/ED pools. So we're in a way up for grabs in the first round. So we're before they actually start reviewing EA or ED. Do you guys have any comments on Common App?
Just
No?
do your stuff on time. Don't wait until 11 o'clock to submit it right before 11:59. Please don't. Just don't do it.
Um,
Just that's all.
yeah, here's a good question. Some people who I've talked to have said that whether or not we get matched is based on our EFC. First, what is EFC and how does it impact our matching status? Does someone want to say what EFC is?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm pretty, I've
I,
had a lot of
oh,
conversations about this. But EFC is your expected family contribution. Um, and it's just like one of the many financial aid terms you'll become familiar with. as time comes, and there is like it does play a factor in the match process to an extent, but um, for any of these type of questions, the best thing to do would be to ask the school directly, because
Yes.
QuestBridge like doesn't decide who gets matched or not. It's the schools. So if you are a college prep scholar and you were or will be at one of the conferences, I remember I went to one of them, and they had like the college fair with all the representatives, and you could ask them questions, and that's when I first learned that uh, I was talking to the representative from Tufts University, and he just like flat out said, if you don't have an EFC of 0, which like we can talk about what that means, if you don't have an EFC of 0, we can't match you. Like you can't get matched to our school. And so that's just like a policy that a lot of schools have, but it's not something you should worry about because it's not in your control. So just kind of like have that in mind if you want to, but it's not a big obstacle in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit to that really quickly. Chris brought up a really good point. Some of these schools will flat out tell you if you don't have that EFC of 0, we will not match you. Amherst is one. I will tell you that. Swarthmore is one. And Chicago is one as well, but I am living proof that they do make exceptions. Typically, for families who have an income of less than 60,000, EFC of 0, there's a lot of other factors that play into it.
Hmm.
But typically it's
Mhm.
under 60K. I reported more than 60K in my financial aid worksheets, and I was like, I'm not going to get matched. I don't have an EFC of 0. And Chicago liked me enough, and I am blessed. I am very blessed. I am reminded of it every day. Um, and they matched me. So there's always that hope, but definitely reach out to the schools and make sure that you are eligible to be matched. Um, and so you don't waste a ranking spot. Things are going to be a lot different this year. The FAFSA is in October. Since I am not a citizen, I do not know about the FAFSA. So if one of you lovely humans, want to talk about it, because I have no clue how that monster is.
Yeah, I would say like most of the financial aid things, especially how it relates to QuestBridge, I can answer questions about that. Um, it's just I was not aware that the FAFSA was going to be an earlier deadline. Um, but yeah, like feel free. I'm on Facebook. I just haven't made a post on the thing. But like it's just there's a lot of like conversations that we can have about this and like all these different factors and like um, different topics come up at different times. But yeah, it's navigable.
Yeah. Um, here's let me see another. Let me find another question. Yvonne or Louis, one of you can answer these. Question one: how many schools should you list for NCM, and how do you go about choosing? Two: are your chances at NCM lower if you didn't get CPS? Should you be discouraged if you didn't get CPS?
Would you like
I'd
to
just
go,
say
Luis, or do?
I'll talk about the CPS part, and you can talk about the other part. How about that? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'd say
Mhm.
just don't get discouraged about CPS. If you didn't get CPS, that doesn't really mean much for the national college match. Just make sure to work on your application for the college match and make it as good as you possibly can, and then hope for the best. That's all you can really do. Yep.
Yep. Um, as for national college match itself, what was the first question about that?
Let me find it again. It was how
Voices?
many
Oh.
schools? Yeah, it was how many schools should you list for NCM, and how do you go about choosing?
Okay. Well, I think unless they change it again, it said you can apply up to 12, like as far as ranking. So, however many you want, it's just make sure that you choose wisely again because of the whole like which since it's binding and you want to make sure that the one you rank are your top choices. For going about choosing schools, it's a matter of thorough research. Programs go. The one fly-in program I went to was for Tufts University, which was one of the schools that I ranked. There was another one I went to, but it was for a different program. and it wasn't one of the schools I wanted to apply to. But definitely, if you can go to fly-in programs, if the schools where you can make a visit, and wasn't able to visit Brown, Yale, a lot of the schools up north. If you can, just do a lot of research on the internet. If you know people, go to student websites, all that. So as far as choosing, that can help you. And see if through just looking up websites or just looking or even visiting, see how it feels with you. Like think to yourself, okay, does this school have the things that I want to study? What's the city itself like? Are there opportunity growth, things like that?
Good point. Okay, so I have a couple, 3 or 4 people asking about applying as an undocumented slash DACA student. I'm going
Hmm.
to answer that because it's a completely separate monster in a moment, but I want to get through these general questions that all of us can address.
Okay.
So I'll talk about DACA slash undocumented in a moment. But here's a good one. I just totally lost it. Yvonne, no, never mind. Never mind.
Uh-huh.
Okay, here's a
Okay.
good one.
Okay.
Uh, is the essay for the Common App and the Questbridge NCM app the same? Can you send in 2 separate ones? Go ahead, Chris.
They are very similar to like assuming the QuestBridge didn't change their prompt from when we were applying. QuestBridge is a little bit longer. Ours was 800 word limit, and the prompt was just like a biographical like overview. Like you could just pretty much choose whatever you wanted. And then the Common App has a couple options, and theirs was a 650 word limit. So, and like the one that would transfer most easily was just kind of like some people have a background or interest or talent or ability that they feel is crucial to their identity, and describe that for you. Um, and so I actually did end up using the same essay virtually, just like modifying it a little bit to fit the word limit. Um, and it worked just fine. The other part of the question was, could you submit 2 different ones? You could, but I would recommend not doing that because there's not a guarantee that both of them will get read, because there's like so many applications they're trying to get through. It might just like reflect um, not negatively, but it'll just be like, oh, like another essay. Like it's just like if you can do it with one, that what you can if you can accomplish that, then you're fine. Like it's not a necessary thing to send into.
Good point. We can actually talk a lot about this. This is a good question. In your biographical essays, do you focus more on your personal struggles or your passions slash achievements? So I'll talk a little bit about it, and then you guys can go. So for me, my essay was very personal. I talked about a lot of stuff and a lot of challenges I faced over the years, ranging from my identity to my race to the personal struggles I faced growing up in the area of the country that I live in. I'm from Tennessee, by the way. So something I tell mentees and I tell anyone who's tackling these essays is you should really try to put a slice of your soul into the essay. So when you read it, you can really see who you are in the essay and it screams, "This is me." So for me, I made sure a couple people read it that I really trusted. And when they read it back to me, I could say, "This is what this sounds like me. This is really who I am, and I really think that this can convey the person that I am to the college admissions counselors." Because if you think about it, these people are getting to know you in less than 20 sheets of paper. Like that's how much work you have to put into it so that you can really win them over and show I am worth the investment and I am worth being on your campus. There might be 6 or 7 of you that are completely identical, but at the same time, your essay is really kind of the make it or break it point, in my opinion, when it comes to college and applying to college. So definitely, your essay can be anything. It can be about your personal struggles. It can be about your passions or achievements, as long as it screams you and it's very true to yourself. Um, any of you guys have any comments on that? On essays, Luis?
I'd say just
Hang on just a
make sure
minute.
you answer all.
Okay. I'll be back.
Yeah, I'd say just make sure you answer all of the parts of the prompt I remember for the Questbridge prompt, it was like about personal struggles or things that make you unique and how they fueled your aspirations or something like that. So I kind of wrote my story, and then I ran out of room to really go into depth about that has to tie into how that ties into my aspirations. So I was kind of freaking out about that, and I went back and shortened the story portion to talk more about the aspirations. So yeah, just make sure that if you're gonna talk about a personal struggle you went through or that kind of thing, make sure to tie it back to the growth you developed through that, or how it has to do with you in the present or your aspirations as a person. So don't just like write a story about something that happened don't and not just tie it into why it matters. Yeah.
Yvonne, do you have any comments on essays?
I think.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, y'all said a lot with it. Just again, I would say make it as unique as you can because even for me, I feel like mine weren't as unique compared to other people because there's people I know who wrote about the fact, again, like people being undocumented students, people being LGBT, people being just different things, people who might have different family issues, people who might have gone through abuse or neglect, people went through home, things like that. So me, I felt like compared to so many other people's essays I know, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna look so bland. I'm gonna look like every other applicant. How do I stand out? But just write again about whatever experiences you've had personally that helped you as a person, and even and stuff. If you haven't, like, I know a lot of people. Well, one of the things that worried me was that I wouldn't have an essay good enough about like, oh, I helped do sign some kind of research thing, or I worked at a laboratory, things like that. I haven't been able to do stuff like that. But if you indicate how passionate you are about what it is you want to learn, or if you can show that college exactly what you can bring, if you can show that college, I might not have done all these great at this school and getting these opportunities, I can show you just what I can do. I think that helps a lot because for me, I think it was my potential that helped me get into a school because of the fact that compared to a lot of other people, my story, I don't think it stood out as much, sort of. But yeah, just make it stand out as much as you can, even if it doesn't feel like it's as special. But if you can just show yourself to that college, that's good.
Chris, do you have any comments on essays?
I think it was all said.
Okay, cool. Let me scroll up to the top of the questions. I've heard something about transferring your NCM app to EDEA. Can you elaborate on this? Can any of you guys talk about that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Not
Um,
really.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you are all
we
matched.
were done.
Okay, so I didn't do this, but I know a couple people who did. And it is an option offered by some schools, and I don't know if there's like a list on the website, but just like if you look under each school, it'll say on their requirements. But basically, it's just like December 1st comes, you find out you don't get matched, but you realize that not being matched isn't the same thing as being rejected,
Like,
which like you just need to keep reminding yourself of
they're
that.
like doing a Questbridge meetup thing.
Yes. My mom came in at the exact same time, so I think that's funny. Anyway, um, so December 1st comes, you're not matched, and then but you're still like, I still want to show my interest and I still really want to go to the school. So you can apply early decision to one of the schools that you ranked. So I know a good
It
number of
doesn't
people who did
post it,
this
Mom.
with
It
like
just says
Northwestern or Columbia, and it worked
it
out for
says
them.
only you can see
I'm
this.
sorry.
We're a little distracted.
Yes, because what you would do,
All right,
it just
we're gonna
has a
move
list
on.
of stuff, and if you want to click.
Let me see. There's another good question. Oh, I just totally saw it. Okay, this one's a good one. Louise, you can answer this.
Sure.
And we can all actually test on this. This is more about the schools. So I am really interested in going to Rice, but um, what's making me iffy is that I've heard Texas is a bit racist, especially with undocumented students. Do you guys see this in your schools? Um, So go ahead, Luis. You can talk a little bit about rice and
All
how
right, well,
you
I'm
made it.
from Washington. I'm from like the Seattle area, so we're super liberal over here for the most part. And I haven't been to Rice yet. I haven't been to Texas, so I don't know from personal experience the atmosphere of Rice and Houston and all that. But I've talked to several people who like also got matched to Rice or who live in Texas, that kind of thing. And at least from what I hear, since Rice is in Houston and that's more of an
Mhm.
urban kind of area, it's not like as homophobic or as racist as a lot of other places in Texas. Like the more rural parts I hear are the more racist and homophobic parts of it. So honestly, if you go to Rice, I don't think it'll be a problem for anyone. And if it is, it'll be just just like a here and there kind of things, as far as I know. So I really don't think it's something to worry about, but I totally understand the concern, and that's something that I really thought about myself too. But I think you'll be fine at Rice, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So here's a good point that I can bring about my school and a lot of the ones I visited. Since these schools are very known schools and it attracts a wide range of students, you won't be the only one there. There's a wide sense of community for all kinds of groups. I know U Chicago, for example, has LGBT organizations, immigrant organizations, people of color, Black society. So there's a wide range. And I think it's important to note that there is a good sense of support at all of them. And it kind of ties into this other question that was asked. I am not sure how to choose between Questbridge colleges. They are all top tier colleges. Their program sounds wonderful, etc. Visiting is ideal, I know, but how did you guys choose which colleges to rank if you weren't able to visit them? So for me, I never visited Yale. I never visited Princeton, but we kind of touched on this. Do your research. Do a lot of research. Ask the school, look for students in these cross-bridge groups. They'll more than gladly talk for hours about their schools because they love them so much. And even ask the hard questions to make sure that you're getting the full experience and you're learning as much as possible from the schools. Chris, Yvonne, do you have any comments on community or visiting?
Um, I think it'll become pretty clear once you get closer, like when it comes to ranking, um, like which schools you want to rank. Just like from talking to people and doing your research, like you kind of know what you want. For me at least, it's just kind of a matter of um, overcoming the fear that is always there, like when you think of the future or whatever. Um, and I'll just have to give another plug to fly-ins because those were really important. I did 3 in the fall, and they helped a lot. So
Which ones did you go to?
I did Bowdoin, Amherst, and Tufts.
Yo, you went to Amherst?
Yeah, but the September one.
Oh, I went October. Yeah, that's a good thing that he mentioned and that we can talk about briefly to all of you guys. Fly-in programs are the most amazing things on the planet because they literally fly you to campus and they have all these really cool activities for you to do. I know I fell in love with Amherst deeply when I visited. I met this really cool dude. His name is Keelan, and I keep up with his Facebook because he's one of the coolest people on the planet, and he really sold Amherst to me, a school that I was completely uninterested in and did not ever think I would like. So definitely apply for them. There's a couple spreadsheets flying around. I know Yvonne shared one. I share them. So keep your eye out for those. Do you have anything to add, Yvonne?
She's still muted, by
Oh,
the
you're
way.
muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, I was wondering about that. There you
Oh,
go.
goodness.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good. We can hear you.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, about the fly-ins, well, first of all, I didn't get to visit Brown literally until 2 months ago. Yeah, we're in June now. So 2 months ago. So yeah, definitely again do your research because even if you don't get to visit the schools you rank, you can still fall in love with it even then. And again with fly-ins, I I just did Tufts, but even then, like before going to the flying, I wasn't really sure about Tufts. I kind of just did it just because I was like, okay, let's just pick a school that's not necessarily Ivy, but that would still be a nice school. But I was really unsure about it. And then after I went to the program, I was like, wow, I really like this school. And if I get matched, I can see myself going here. So fly-ins are definitely good. And I know somebody recently posted something about fly-ins. I forgot what it was, but it's on one of the pages. So definitely you can still apply to schools even if you can't visit them. And if you can, do fly-ins, definitely.
Good point. Um, I just saw one. Someone asked for our majors. So do you want to go
Mhm.
around doing majors? I'll start. I'm doing a double major in political science and gender and sexuality studies with a minor in either human rights, theater performance studies, or international relations. I'm gonna take a class to see which one I like.
Mm.
Yvonne?
Um, I'm planning to concentrate in international relations and public health, maybe biology, but for right now I'm just with IR and public health.
Chris?
Oh wait, can I just say like I love how Yvonne can say that I'm going to concentrate in this because Brown doesn't have majors in
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
so yeah, that's just a cool thing. Um, my major at the moment is social policy, um, but I'm really open to like all the other ones that I was considering when I applied to like most schools. I applied under sociology. It's just that Northwestern has this special major called social policy, and I was like, yeah, why not?
Is Lee still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we can't see you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your camera seems to be turned off.
Yeah,
Oh
I just see the
no.
icon.
Okay, well, we can hear you. Do you want to go ahead
Okay.
and share your major?
Well, yeah. I'm planning to major in biochemistry and cell biology. That's even though it has an and in there, that's just one major at Rice. So yeah, that's
Cool.
basically it. Can you see me still? Or
No, I
what's going
can't
on?
see you. Can anyone see him?
Mm-mm, just the icon.
Okay, cool.
Weird. Okay. I'll
Uh,
enjoy my characters for now.
Yeah.
okay. Let me see. Was another good question around here. Um, we already talked about that. Oh, here's a good one. What's the best way to write the why college essays? So, Chris or
Um.
Yvonne, do you want to start? Go ahead, Yvonne.
Oh, you can start, Chris.
Sure. I think it's like hard, but creativity helps a lot. You don't have to like go super elaborate with it, but just
Hmm.
um, mention things that like you wouldn't normally hear. Like um, with Columbia, I applied there too. A lot of like a really common things that people talk about would, or like when you think of Columbia as New York City and the core. But like in the essay, the why essay, you could talk about those things, but just maybe everyone is going to be talking about those things, so there should be like things that specifically apply to you that would help. So I talked about like clubs that I would want to be in, or um, like the surrounding area, and like because I like walking around and seeing things, and so um, yeah, just like try to make it memorable.
Good point. Yvonne, do you have comments?
Um, kind of again what Chris was saying, because like for mine, I felt I kind of just did typical stuff, but I think it helps to kind of visualize the school, because just like they're asking, why do you want to come to our school? You need to ask yourself, why do I want to go to this school? Because if you're just saying, oh, it's got a good reputation, oh, I like the curriculum, core curriculum, open curriculum, I like how it looks, then that might not help. But if you can really think of good reasons as to why should I go to this school if accepted, I think that really helps. Like kind of like, is it a type of program? Is it the opportunities that you think the school would give? Is it the people? Like I think I mentioned being able to like work in an accepting environment or an open environment or something. But just like how do you see yourself at that school? Because if you can answer why should you go to this school, then you can answer them, okay, why should you accept me?
Good point. I can talk a little bit about the creativity thing that Chris mentioned, and I can give my example. So when I wrote my YU Chicago essay, I was very hesitant and very, it's gonna sound mean, but I kind of called U Chicago cheap in my essay. So I compared U Chicago to the dollar menu at McDonald's, and I started writing, I get an adrenaline rush when I stand in line to order my McDouble with my sweet tea and fries. And I compare that adrenaline rush that I get from ordering from the dollar menu to the adrenaline rush I get to campus. And when I wrote it, I was like, they're going to think I'm calling them cheap and they're going to trash this immediately. But eventually, after I did get accepted, my college admissions counselor actually contacted me and she was like, your essay had me laughing on the floor because she said it was very true to how the university thinks. So, see, for me, I thought, this is dumb. They're going to laugh at it and they're not even going to look at my application once they read the beginning of this essay. It was very unique to me because I love the dollar menu. I love McDonald's. And I was comparing all the different options that I have at the dollar menu to the various options and opportunities I'm going to have on campus. So, see, if you think of, I'm not going to say call them cheap. Don't do that. These are great schools. Um, but like, make sure what you write screams you. And I said that earlier. It's good to put creativity and put a little pizzazz in there to make sure it stands out. Um, there was one that I saw that was good, and we can kind of talk about this. Okay, there are different types of curricula, distribution requirements, core, open. How do you know which one is best for you? I have the core. Who has open?
Me.
Yvonne.
Hmm.
Is Rice, do you have core? Do you have gen eds, Luis?
Um, oh my gosh. I think they have like three different categories I would need to like meet a certain amount of classes for. But besides that, you can just take whatever you want that matches your
Yeah.
major, I think. I don't know.
Chris, what do
It's
you?
like distribution requirements. It's yeah, not
Okay,
a.
so did any of you guys like really pay attention to that when applying?
Mhm.
I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah, I can talk about this. So, like, Amherst is another school that doesn't have requirements at all, pretty much. Um, and then I also like Columbia, which has the core. And I was like, how can I like both of these schools when like one is core and one is open and blah blah blah. And my advice, because the question was, how do you know which one is right for you? And my answer would be, you don't really have to know just yet. Like you still have time. Once um, the like to me, it wouldn't be a deciding factor. Like it's a cool thing, like when you're thinking of like pluses and minuses of the school, but it's at the end of the day, it's not like the thing that marks your college experience. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much my advice. It's a good thing to keep in mind, and it's good that you're looking at it, but it's not a make or break thing. Like some people don't even know what it is at their school, so it's all right not to know for sure. I didn't know, and it worked out.
Moises, you're muted.
Oh yeah, he is.
Sorry, Yvonne, do you have anything to add about core or how you chose open curriculum?
Kind of like with Chris, I kind of knew what open curriculum was, but not the full way. Like when I applied, I just thought it meant, oh, so I can take different classes. I don't have to be a major in this class to take. And after I got accepted, that I realized, like, I think my interviewer, it was like a weird thing where I got interviewed after, but he told me that they don't have general requirements. So I actually didn't realize that until after. Um, but also with Columbia, like what drew me to Columbia too was that they did have a core. So while it can be kind of burdensome if maybe you don't want to have too many requirements, I like the idea that they gave you like these different courses to take. Like I think there was like humanities and stuff. So for me, I thought core would have been great too because okay, I have required courses, but these are courses that kind of give me a diverse, I guess, diverse approach to learning. Whereas with Brown's open curriculum, you can still kind of tailor your
No, she froze.
have to pick. But if you really want to focus on what type of like core program is for you, then maybe see, do you want to have a diversity of courses to choose from yourself? Do you feel like you need to have a bit of a set list of courses to choose? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take or two more questions, maybe just one, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about being undocumented, and then we will wrap up. Okay,
Okay.
this is a good one. Hi, how does the recommendation process work? Do teachers write a unique recommendation for every school I apply to? Do they upload it to the Common App, or do they mail it to the schools? Does someone want to answer this?
I can say a little bit about it.
Go ahead.
I don't know too much about it, but I do know that they do upload it to Common App, at least for my teachers. Um, I don't know really if they have a separate, like, specific one that teachers do, because some teachers, they might have the same template that they do for every student. Some teachers might do it individualized. I never got to read my teachers' recommendations, but they did upload it to Common App. Like, what you'll have to do, I think, is they'll have an option where you select your recommenders, you enter their email and all their information, and Common App will forward that to the teacher, and then they can submit it online. As
Yeah.
for any other type of college, they might have it differently, but that's how they do it. And some teachers, I'd say if they really know you, then I'm pretty sure they can do a very special recommendation, something that shows how unique you truly are. If you maybe go to a school with a lot of kids and the teacher doesn't know you, maybe try to sit with the teacher and talk for a little bit, like I did with my counselor, to get her to have her have a better picture of you. So try that if maybe you're not too familiar with the teacher.
Yeah, I can add a little bit on recommendations. So I would strongly urge you guys, obviously not now during the summer, but like at the beginning of the year,
Hmm.
not the first week, maybe second or third, but just approach
Yeah.
the teachers that you're thinking of and be like, hey, I'm considering if you could write a recommendation for me. I kind of went all out with my recommendations. I gave them a copy of my bio essay, my resume, my transcript, and then I wrote them a letter, like an individual letter to them, just like explaining my
Hmm.
situation, be like, this means a lot to me. These are kind of things I would like if you could mention in your recommendation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And after they do write it, I think it's common courtesy. Some people didn't do this, but like give them a thank you note or something and just follow up and be like, thank you for writing this because it could ultimately be what got you into college. Um,
Mm.
but definitely be kind to your teachers. They don't have to do this. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. It's not in their job description to write letters. And some of them really do put a lot of work into it. My science teacher wrote a 2-page letter, and I never asked for that. So some of these teachers really do care about you guys. So make sure you guys are kind. Chris, do you have any comments on letters of rec?
Um, I asked like the first or second week of August, and then gave them also a resume, and then it wasn't like okay, the resume transcript and my bio essay, and then but like on top of the resume, it was just kind of like explanations of why I did certain things, and then I also they wanted to know like what schools I'm applying to and what I wanted to study. Um, and so I just kind of wrote those like couple paragraphs about that for them to explain them. And then I also just like sat down with like both of them when we're together one time, and I just kind of talked to them um, about like any questions they had for me. Um, and yeah, they were really nice about it, and like were willing to send like you'll probably have recommendations for like scholarships and other things too. Um, and you can usually ask the same teacher like, hey, can you just like forward the recommendation you did for this college to this scholarship? And they'll usually say yes, as long as you're nice about it. And so yeah, I also did the thank you note thing, um, and yeah, that's all I have.
Cool. Okay, so this is the last question. Oh no, we'll take these two last, sorry. And
Hmm.
then I'll talk about it being undocumented and we'll do final comments and that's it. How do interviews work for admissions? Do you have to set them up with colleges when you visit before you apply? I did my interview on campus for U Chicago over the summer, and then when I visited Swati or Amherst doesn't do interviews, but when I visited Swati, they scheduled mine. Some of them you are able to do them. There's local interviewers in your hometown, or there's some who do Skype interviews, and you can do those. But you are the ones who schedule those. they open up a bunch of portals for you to do so. Do you guys have any like tips for interviews or something? Because mine were very basic.
I never
Well,
did any, so I'm
what?
not sure.
Oh.
Go ahead, Luis.
No, sorry, I just said I never did any, so I have no clue about them.
Oh. What about you, Yvonne?
Well, I didn't have an interview until after I got accepted. I think it just like didn't reach the person. But well, for me at least what I did was my counselor gave me a sheet of paper like to, students beginning of the year about like questions you can ask when you go to on college visits. And so what I did was I made a list of questions to ask my interviewer. Like I think that's good. So wait, there's a question that you can't get from the website or you want the interviewer's personal insight, do that. But as far as the interview itself, I don't know because I did it by phone. So if maybe Chris, if you know, if you had interviews.
Um, yeah. So a lot of people freak out about interviews, but they're not something to freak out about because it's a very like this part of like if I'm sorry, I'm bad visual, but like this is the whole application and this is the interview.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's not something that you should like think like, oh my gosh, if I don't do good on this interview, I'm not getting in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I only did one, oddly enough, even though and it was they just kind of like gave me the interviewer's email, and I emailed them to set up a date, and we met at a coffee shop, and it was just like 40 minutes, I think. Um, yeah, it's not a big um, thing to worry about.
Yeah. Okay, last question, and then we'll do the last two things. So for Yvonne, sorry,
Mhm.
I'm a sick. I want to study international
Mhm.
relations as well. Of the Questbridge schools, what schools interested you for your major? And then for all, I have pretty average SAT scores, and how did you study for them? And how much do they play in the admissions process?
Okay. For international relations, I know I know Brown, of course, has international relations, and my interviewer said that they had, like, I think one of the best in the Ivies. So if you are interested in Brown and interested in international relations, I'd say give it a shot. Also, Tufts University, though, when I visited, they also said they had one of the best international relations programs. Columbia, it was weird because the only thing I saw like in a list of courses they had like in a view book, they had an international relations thing, but you had to do like a 5 year program where you get like I think masters and bachelors. I'm not sure on that, but definitely like different schools. Yale, they have like global affairs. So as far as what schools have them, I know there's a good bit of Questbridge schools that do have them. Princeton has international affairs. It's like the Woodrow Wilson School of International and Public Affairs. So all five of the schools I applied to had some form of an international relations program. Depending on what you want to study, some schools might have global affairs, some might have like international relations, some might have international affairs. So definitely look to see if that's what you really want to study, look at the schools and see if they offer it, but also see what else they have that you'd be interested in case you change your mind. As for I think it what was the other part about it about the IR? I forgot.
Of the Questbridge schools, what schools interested you for your major?
Oh, yeah, those are the schools that interested me. My top two, I really liked Tufts because of the fact that they said they had a really good program. Brown's interested me, and I think Princeton's really drew me because they had a whole school for international affairs and stuff. So those were probably my top choices. And well, Columbia also, if I was gonna do the 5 year program.
Okay. And then we talked a little bit about test scores already. They're important, but they're not the end of the world if they're not
Yeah, that's.
perfect. So we'll just go ahead and address that. Um, just touch on it. Okay, so before I go into the undocumented process and all of that, I'm gonna try and be as brief as possible. Do any of you have any final comments before I kind of like go on a rant?
I'm open. If you have questions, you can shoot me a message. That's all.
Yeah, Yvonne great. She's sweetie. She's a sweetie. Chris, do you have any comments?
Sure, I'm also free to talk about anything, and just like a reminder that it's not like don't base your life off of this. Like it's
Mhm.
just like one part of the process, and and it'll all work out. Talk to your Questbridge friends, and I make it through together. I don't know. I'll be here throughout the summer
Yeah.
if you guys have any questions.
Actually, Chris,
Yep.
do you want to talk a little bit about what drew you to Northwestern and what made you
Oh
choose
yeah.
Northwestern? Because we all kind of talked a little bit about it, but you didn't.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna map this out. So I originally, I'll just start towards the end of my senior year. I got into like 7 Questbridge schools and narrowed it down to Tufts, Bowdoin, um, Haverford, and Northwestern. And I had visited all of them, or visited Tufts and Bowdoin in the fall, and then Haverford and Northwestern in April. And just from those visits, I felt that Northwestern and Haverford were the ones I liked the most. And then from there, it became really difficult because there are like 2 really different schools, and I didn't know which one would be best for me. But in the end, I just chose Northwestern because of like the breadth of things that are offered there, both like academically, they have so many schools and majors and classes that a small school wouldn't have as much. And also socially, there's like a lot more diversity and a lot more clubs and all things that I really liked. And so it's just a school, like everything that you see on the brochure is what attracted to me and for now. And I'll go even more in depth if you guys want to, like in a separate conversation.
Yeah, it's still the worst school on the planet, but whatever. Love you, Chris. Luis, do you have any other comments to add?
I mean, just if you want to learn more about Rice, or if you just want to talk about CrossFit stuff, feel free to message me on Facebook. I graduate on Saturday, so I'll be free after like this week.
Congrats, congrats.
Yeah,
Woo!
We made it.
we all
Um,
made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about being undocumented. If you guys want to leave, you can. I don't think if there's anything else you guys think we should discuss before I go into my rant, can you guys think of anything?
Not that I know of.
Oh, should we talk about the one we're gonna have next week?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So I'm gonna talk about that. If any of you guys want to stick around, feel free to. If not, you guys can leave. But yeah, thank you for being here, guys. It means a lot. I know a lot of people messaged me and they were really excited about us talking to them. But for those who are watching, we are going to be having another one of these next week. It's going to feature a couple more people. We have our god Ben Sorkin. We consider him a god among men because he got in everywhere, and he's actually going to Harvard. So he's not going to Questbridge School, but he did get into one. I think, or no, he got into many. He got into Notre Dame, right? And then
Yeah, a good number of schools.
he got
Um,
I'm not sure.
where did he not get in? And he got to do a lot of cool stuff. He's going to be here. My friend Larissa Martinez, who matched Yale, she's going to be here. So we're going to talk a little bit more next week about a bunch of other stuff. But do you guys have anything else to add before I go in?
Well, it's fun doing this though, so I think I gotta go check on my grandma though, so
Okay.
I can come to the next one if you need to. So
Okay, dokie. Nice to see you, Yvonne.
nice
Bye.
to see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So you guys can just stick around if you want. So with regards to being an undocumented student, it's a lot trickier, but at the same time, it's not impossible. So basically, I saw some of your comments. Yes, you cannot fill out the FAFSA, but that doesn't mean you can't get money, as you can see. So a lot of these schools are going to ask for international financial aid because some of them will put us in the international financial aid pool. There's a couple that will consider us as domestic students. I know Swarthmore will, but like for example, U Chicago didn't. They had me fill out the ISFAA, which is the International Student Financial Aid application, which is something separate. Here's another thing we didn't mention and we should have is the CSS profile. So you have the FAFSA, which is the federal free application for federal student aid, and the CSS profile, which is from the College Board, which is essentially the FAFSA but on steroids. It is so long and there's so many questions on it. Chris or Luis, if you have anything to add about the CSS profile, if you wish, interrupt me at any moment. Um,
I
but
just wanted to say really quick that since the FAFSA this year opens in October, I'm not sure if they'll still have to do the CSS profile. Like, don't mark my words, but
Yeah, they
I
will.
think I remember.
Yeah,
What was that?
because they will have to because the CSS profile is used for any um, aid that's institutional, and then FAFSA is like just federal aid,
Oh,
yeah,
and so they're always going to need two separate.
yeah.
oh, okay.
So there you go. So for us DACA students and undocumented students, we're going to be filling out the CSS profile mainly. It asks for tax information that you're going to have to submit. And essentially, when it comes to financial aid, that's what I'm kind of want to focus on. They will ask for a lot of documents, but at the same time, you don't need to stress out. A lot of these schools look at you the same way as they look at other students. The only thing that's different is money. So I would recommend definitely making sure you're organized and that you work with your parents to make sure that you have all of the financial aid documents you're going to need when filling these profiles and applications out. Um, with regards to the social aspect of it, I actually had to tell my teachers that I was a DACA student when applying to college, and it was very scary at first, but a lot of them were very surprised. Um, because, for example, I'm very politically active, and they're like, "What? You're not even a citizen? You can't vote, and you care about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's important to me." So, yeah, these two can attest to my political posts. Um, so basically, I would strongly recommend like finding teachers that you really do think care about you, and that you care about them, that you think they can write a good recommendation. It's a big obstacle that really does work in our favor in our applications because it's something that does stand out. Um, Seeing as we're not citizens and we're still high achieving students. So definitely don't freak out. It can be done. It was very confusing at first, and there is one main QuestBridge international group, which is for students that are international or are DACA/undocumented. If you want to be added to it, let me know and I will gladly add you. But don't freak out. It can be done. Um, and like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message me, message Larissa. And there's a couple more that I can't think of right now, but me and Larissa are good resources since she's undocumented and I'm a DACA student, and we know a lot. We actually have a good amount of information. I'm gonna put a quick U Chicago plug in here because I realized I didn't talk about U Chicago. I was attracted to U Chicago in the eighth grade. I've been in a committed relationship with the college ever since eighth grade, and I would have cried for hours had I not been accepted. One beautiful thing about my school is that we have the core curriculum, and schools think they can copy our core curriculum, but they can't. We have the original one. Essentially, the core is this understanding or this idea that liberal arts education is something everyone needs to take part in. So we're essentially getting the same education, but through different classes. We have a social class, hum class, which is humanities, an arts class, science, STEM, and then we do a math class, and we all have to do it before we can actually do our majors, or you can do them side by side. Some cool things about U Chicago. Bernie Sanders went there. Hopefully, I'm gonna be able to be in the dorm that he stayed in. Fingers crossed. We have college housing. We're literally Hogwarts in the aspect that you're sorted into a house, and there's a lot of competitions on campus. We have Scav Hunt, which is the world's largest scavenger hunt that a certain school in the north likes to crash. A school located in Evanston. Yeah. Uh, they like to stop by and mess with us during Scav because they know it's important to us. But like some people are very, very dedicated to Scav. It's either by a team you choose or by your house within your college dorm. And some people go across the country to find the items because it's a very elaborate list. For example, this year, in order to get the list, they had a giant cement block that they had to like destroy, and inside was a token to get the list. So it's very interesting. U Chicago is very quirky. If you are like that, don't expect to feel uncomfortable on campus if you're going to Chicago. And that's something that's to be said about U Chicago. A couple of people have been messaging me worried to death about it because we have our infamous motto that U Chicago is the place where fun goes to die. That's very not true. U Chicago is a very lively campus, a little too lively, I would say. But people who go there definitely go for the sake of learning, and we do care about an education. So if you have any questions about U Chicago, let me know. That's my plug. Chris, do you have anything else to add before we leave?
Whoa,
Okay.
it's just us two now. Okay.
Yeah, it's
No,
just
I
us.
don't.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here, guys, and we will be here next week. Like we all said, we're here if you need to message us, and we'll be around. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.